What's done in the dark will always come to the light, but you got to look and see who flipped on that light switch and what their motivations were for doing so. Let's get into it. What up, y'all? I'm Christopher Markland, author of the books Desperately Seeking Exclusivity, Desperately Seeking Pleasure, with my third book, Desperately Seeking Clarity, to be released soon. Links to purchase each book is in the description section, so check them out. Let me know what you think. Welcome to my review/analysis of Season 4, Episode 8 of Ready to Love. If you're new to my channel, new to my reviews, I kind of do things a little bit differently because I don't just regurgitate and repeat, the show that we've all already watched. What I try to do instead is to use the show as a commentary on male and female interpersonal dynamics as it relates to dating.
I wanted you here so I could share some things with you.
Liz,
I wanted to express some things.
I do too.
I eliminated myself and I wanted you to know that first.
Why you didn't tell me?
Hold on.
So we pick up where last episode left off, which is David and Ron in the hot seat for elimination. David does what we already know, which is he's going to self-eliminate. And the reason for that is he always has to be in control. So instead of him just, taking his rejection and saying, hey, you know what, thank you, it's been good, whatever, and just walk off, he wants to take the high road because, he cannot be looked at as the bad guy. And that's really the issue when it comes to David.
You never talked to me about self-eliminating. And the way I really feel is that he was trying not to take responsibility for his actions. It was almost like, I'm gonna quit before you fire me.
She hit the nail on the head when it comes to that. David quit because he couldn't handle that termination meeting. If you've ever been fired from a job, that's when they pull you in an office and the HR director comes and sits in and they tell you all of the stuff that you did wrong before they say, hey, bro, go ahead and get on up out of here. David couldn't handle that because in this particular case, the termination meeting would have been him sitting down with her and she's spelling out chapter and verse all of the things that he did wrong and laying out all of his BS, not just for her, but in front of the whole world to see just how screwed up each one of his moves were and the things that he did wrong. So instead of him sitting down like a man and saying, hey, thank you for that, or whatever the case may be, he instead tries to basically quit before he can get fired.
The fact that you cannot, this shows that you're not ready to love.
I'm definitely ready to love. I'm ready to love.
You're not allowing me to speak. That's rude of you, David.
If you want to know why I left the show, I'm a man of God.
No, I know.
And I want to lead with integrity.
Not all terminations have to be contentious. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, you're going to be out of a job, out of work. I get it. That's why you're being terminated. However, what you may end up walking out with is a severance package. You may end up walking, go file for unemployment. You can get a letter of recommendation. Any number of things can come from that. However, if you've just been half-assing at your job, coming in late, not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and sooner or later you're going to get fired. So what you end up doing is quitting before your employer can fire you. And then when you do quit, you then start talking about, well, they weren't treating me right, or I ain't like them anyway, or any number of excuses that you start telling yourself to sleep well at night because you weren't doing your job. That's essentially what we have here in this situation.
Let me tell you something. I'm ready to love. I know she's ready to love. But me, truly, I am a man of God. And when I see the enemy trying to make his way in things, I'm going to get ahead of him.
Since I'm a man of God, if you say anything about me and my bad behavior and call out the things that I'm doing wrong, what you're actually doing is you're attacking God because, obviously, because I'm a man of God. Therefore, if you say anything about me, then, man, from the dawn of time, we have seen men hide behind religion to do all kinds of devious things, from blowing up buildings to we see right here, blowing up relationships. At the end of the day, it ain't got nothing to do with God or none of that. The fact is, David was just moving reckless and he got called out for it, or essentially he ran away before he could get called out for it. He took the coward's way out.
The ladies, as well as I, came to the consensus of the things that we're really looking for and what we need. And that means that there's a lot of hard and difficult decisions that we have to make. We decided at this time that you are not ready to love.
You win some, you lose some. Here it is. We're at Season 4, Episode 8 of this show, and we've seen eliminations where some people get upset. Some people just, say, hey, thank you. It's been real. And after watching how Naya set the whole damn thing off when she got eliminated last season, I honestly didn't think anybody could top that. However, Ron, he said, shit, watch me work.
I lost a little respect. I ain't gonna lie. I just thought you was smarter and a little better than that.
That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
That might have been condescending, but
it's condescending all the time. But I'm not gonna be with anybody who talks to me like he just spoke to me.
One of the true marks of character, especially for a man, is how you handle defeat. Whether it's not shaking hands with the other team after getting bounced from the first round of the playoffs, or saying that they stole the election, whatever the case may be, it's all in how you handle the fact that you lost. You did not win. You didn't come out on top. Now, the same thing applies for a man when the relationship comes to an end. If you constantly hear the dude talking about, man, my exes ain't shit, my baby mama ain't shit, you might want to stop and say, yo, bro, seems to me that the only constant is you.
So, understanding that, I went on a date yesterday. I kissed Amber yesterday. At that point, I was done anyway.
Hell hath no fury like a woman. My bad. So I thought it anyway. So instead of, just giving her a hug or maybe saying some kind words, or like that wise man once said, nothing at all, and just getting up and walking on out, he instead decides to throw Amber's name into the mix. Now, personally, from looking at this going all the way back, he has had a thing for KG. So it seems to me like, hey, on his way out, he's going to blow up everybody's spot. He's going to try to hurt Alexis as best he can. He's going to throw Amber's name into the mix because Alexis is going to go back and be like, hey, what's happening with this? And then by doing that, that's of course going to mess up KG's situation. So, man, that move right there that he did on the way out.
Going into this gentleman's lounge was just a little bit different, and it just got real to me that not one, but two of us are no longer here.
And then there were 4.
With that, David and Ron have been eliminated. That leaves a field of men at 4. So now we have AJ, Jason, Joel, and KG having control this week, meaning they're going to be sending one of the ladies home at the end of this episode.
I just want to say welcome back to the Gentleman's Lounge.
Thank you.
I got something.
Okay.
All right.
Tomorrow, I am sending you with the ladies to a beautiful ranch getaway.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to send you deep into the prairies of Texas. Okay?
All right.
So this week, Tommy's sending the whole ensemble on down there to Texas, to a ranch down there. This is kind of similar to the Last Resort episode, Last Resort season that we had. I don't even know why they call it a season, but they're not calling it. It's kind of confusing. But anyway, this is kind of similar to that whole Last Resort thing where they all get together in one location. The only difference is instead of it being the whole cast, meaning 10 men and 10 women, it's just these last remaining 9 people. So it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more intimate, so therefore you don't have all of the moving parts like we did last time.
At this moment, I'm like, I don't really know if Bernicia knows, but Ron told me that Joel chose Kyra as his ultimate number 1.
If this process ended right now, who is the one you're going home with?
Kyra.
The same name keeps popping up in all of these messy situations, right? But anyway, now, if Amber was so concerned about, is Joel, did he tell Vernisha this, that, or whatever, why didn't she ask Vernisha that in private? Why did she have to wait until that specific situation, or at least where everyone was sitting around talking, having a good time, then she decides she wants to, I guess, help Vernisha by asking that question? Nah, that was just plain messy.
I do believe my girl V should be privy to this type of information since she has been going so hard for Joel.
So where you secure at?
And was Kyra your number 1?
Hold up, baby. I'm supposed to tell her that. Who in the hell told Amber this any goddamn way? You know what I'm saying?
No way am I taking Joel off the hook for his bad behavior. I called it out in the last episode and I'm gonna call it out again. However, if she was just looking out for my girl V, then once again, why didn't she just pull her aside and be like, hey girl, did you know this? But instead, she did it right there in public, because ultimately what she's either trying to do is either embarrass her, meaning embarrass Vernisha, or she's trying to embarrass Joel. Either way, there's nothing altruistic about the way she's moving like that. She ain't doing nobody no favors.
The fact that I'm telling you that I
You
said
didn't
what
tell me that before then, though. Amber just brought this up. You didn't tell me that.
You know why I didn't tell you?
You didn't tell me that.
I guess I'm
You know
wrong.
what? No, it's okay. You know why I didn't tell you? Because that's not necessary to tell you that.
That's important.
That's not necessary
That's
because
more
what I'm
important
trying.
than the kids.
No,
A kid
baby,
is a
no,
kid.
no,
That's
no,
a
no, no.
date.
There's a difference between transparency and honesty. Honesty is when you tell the truth when asked. Transparency is when you tell the truth when you're not asked. This whole situation is basically because Joel was not 100% transparent with Vernisha. Now, if he had brought up the situation, said, hey, Vernicia, yo, this is what I did. I was a little upset with our conversation. I kind of, and just told her the situation ahead of time, then that would have been him being transparent with her and giving her the opportunity to react however she may have reacted. We have a group of people, 20 at its max, 10 men, 10 women, but right now we're down to 9. And what happens is it's a small group of people in a small, essentially confined space because it's their, social network of, like I said, 9 people. So if something happens, they're going to know about it because people going to talk, especially if you have one member of the group of men who decides he wants to go outside of the group of guys and start running his mouth and telling what's happening behind closed doors when it comes to the men's lounge.
I know I've been spending a lot of time and energy in really getting Kyra to see a different side of me, and still she's been choosing and picking Jason. I don't know if I can continue to do that.
This is one of the problems that you get from backtracking. You're going to spend all of your time, all of your effort trying to make sure that that person sees you for who you are now, as opposed to overcoming whatever hurdles based on the situations that happened then. The problem is, no matter how much you try to smooth it out, once you ball up a piece of paper, those wrinkles are going to remain. You can do everything you can iron it, those wrinkles are still going to be there and those issues are going to be there. And also you get fed up of trying to say, hey, look at me now, versus getting them to convince, getting you to convince them to stop looking at who you were back then. That's what AJ's running into right now. He's like, yo, I'm this dude now, look at me, but Kyra still has those hurdles based on the situations and the problems that they had in the past.
Do you think that was something you should have said, though?
I can't deny that when I was saying that I was being truthful.
You were willing to throw all of this away, though, for that one. This is what I can't process.
I hear that.
You was willing to throw me away and leave with Kyra out for one miscommunication that we had?
This whole Joel, Vernicia, Kyra situation basically has 2 parts. The first part is Joel, because he and Vernicia had a falling out, because they had a disagreement, whatever, instead of working through that situation, them talking about it, understanding why she was, why he was upset with her, why she was upset with him, he instead decides basically to go run off with another woman. That's figuratively what he did in the situation. And then the second part is, instead of telling her, hey, this is what I did, I was upset and I did this, he didn't do that. So now when Vernicia does find out what happened, not only is she upset with the situation itself, she's also embarrassed at how she found out about it because it was done publicly. Both of those parts fall on Joel because he could have controlled all of that.
How am I supposed to feel after that? Because when he asks us, he say, if you have to leave right now, I ain't never not chose you, ever. You ain't never not been my number one from day one. What do you feel like you need? Well, if you feel like Kyra can give you what you need, Joel, you need to pursue Kyra.
Vinicia's been Team Joel from the minute they met back at episode 1. And to be honest, Joel has been on board as well. Him and her, you've seen them grow together, develop something together. However, this whole phone call issue and then it led, going into the Kyra thing, it's kind of demonstrated that Joel is he'll fall back if things aren't necessarily going right. Now, is this an issue for them to say, break up or whatever? I don't think so, at least, or not break up, but at least drift apart. I don't think so. Is it a red flag for Vernicia to look out to and for them to really talk through and communicate through? Hell yeah, definitely.
And what's wrong with me being honest at that time?
What's wrong with you being honest afterwards and telling me?
You can give me all the time in the world for that. I didn't tell you. That's wrong. But me in that moment of talking to them about that, I was being truthful about that. It wasn't discrediting nothing about you. I'm not trying to run away from everything that's happening.
In a weird, convoluted way, I see what the dude is trying to say. However, I just can't rock with him 100% on this one. At the end of the day, he flaked out on her and them as a couple, and you just cannot overlook that. Now, I get what he's trying to say in that, yeah, I was honest with you, but because of whatever, the misunderstanding that they had, he didn't handle it the way he should have. And once again, here we are.
Oh, nah.
What's going down?
What's that with you, Bill?
She hurt. She going off, man. Are you not being 100 in your shortcomings, my G?
I appreciate KG going over and talking to Joel one-on-one, man-to-man about the situation, because a lot of times the narrative that we see is that black men don't support each other, and just the flip side, we're always at each other's throats, and it's always a contentious thing. No. When you see a black man support another black man like this one, y'all, I love to see it. And at the same time, it's not just supporting, KG's not just supporting Joel, but he's also holding him accountable. Like, yo, bro, what you doing here? You moving kind of reckless. And because of how you're moving, you're about to lose your woman. So you need to do what you got to do, straighten up and go, just do what you know is the right thing to do. And that's the encouragement and advice that KG's giving Joel right now.
So all I'm saying to you, you have just got to stand and own your. You got to assure her, because what I heard out there, ain't no assurance.
Yeah.
She done.
You have to own your shit. KG's 100% right on this one. As men, a lot of times we hang on to the sliver of rightness in a situation and overlook the entirety of the wrongness of what we've done and how we've behaved. I like the fact that KG was like, yo, if you don't get this thing straight, you're going to lose your woman, because your ego, your whatever is not where it is out of pocket. So I appreciate KG saying, yo, man, own your shit. I like that.
This is just amazing. How you feeling, though?
I'm at peace. Yeah, I appreciate that, because that means a lot to me. When a woman can bring a man peace, that's half the battle.
Y'all, this is what most men want, peace. I talked about this a lot last episode, where the women invited their men into situations where conflict was a potential consequence if things went left. Think about it. Men, we have to go out there, we have to go conquer the world while at the same time protecting the world. And then, we have to come home. Trust me, we don't want to have to come home and then do battle with our women. We are not your enemy, just like y'all aren't ours. So when we come home, we want there to be peace and harmony and just peace.
If you would have asked me a year, 2 years ago, where would I be at this moment, at this time, I would not be thinking that I would be with a man like you. I appreciate you for not only who you are, but your consistency that you've shown me throughout this process.
Consistency is key. Life in general and dating in particular. And unfortunately, this is one of the main complaints that I hear from women when it comes to dealing with men in dating. We don't follow through like we say we are, and we start out a certain way and then we taper off. Now, there could be a lot of underlying reasons as to why we do this, but at the end of the day, it's one of the main issues that we have with getting relationships off the ground. We start off real good. However, instead of maintaining or even elevating,
Liz.
Jason.
Okay.
The only one you roll with on the grind.
Yo, that's romantic and all, but I know I'm not the only one thinking this. That's a whole lot of denim, and they've been traveling all day, riding horses and all that. So I sure hope they freshened up a little bit, brushed the teeth and all that. Because remember, it was daytime when they got there. It's nighttime now, so I don't know how much time has passed, but whew.
I take responsibility for that. I'm sorry for that. But you gotta give me a chance to say it, you did. More than anything, show you.
Facts.
There you go.
You're right about that.
You know what I'm saying? The resistance wasn't because I'm not sorry. You dig what I'm saying?
Apology accepted.
At the end of the day, you have to be accountable for your actions. And if you're going to apologize, apologize genuinely. We've seen too many times over the course of the show where someone does this half-ass non-apology. The most recent being last season when Denise apologized because the other person, the one that she was supposed to be apologizing to, she apologized that they took what she said the wrong way. If you're going to do it right.
Even when I'm in my moments or I'm fussing, it ain't long. Just let me have my moment. I always get past stuff. I don't never stay mad for long. But I'm going to get my point across.
I just want to be heard out too, you feel me?
I understand.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
This is why I kind of rock with Joel. Even though, yeah, what he did was, very selfish, very immature, very childish. He still, you can tell my man still cares about Vernisha. it's kind of silly how he's going about it. I mean, but you know, as a man, I recognize what it is. Like, all right, I know I done messed up with her. How can I get back in her good graces? At the very least, let me try and make her laugh. If she's still laughing, you know, okay, I can make some kind of progress. So I like that about my man. I really do. And I know he does care about her.
So what happened to you last night? I called you yesterday. I texted you yesterday. I got no call or text back.
I sent a text late.
Okay.
So you can't go ahead and jump off them ledges.
I'm feeling very neglected by AJ.
This is the same pattern of behavior that we've seen consistently from Alexis, meaning she does not want to in any way feel neglected. The difference is AJ's kind of pointing out how problematic that is. Just because I don't call you every day, just because we're not doing certain things, doesn't mean that I'm neglecting you and you're not my number one, which is something she has to hear consistently from her man. Now, I've said it before, you know, I can't let a video pass without saying men hunt. And if you're not giving us something to go after, then quite honestly, we're going to fall back. That kind of goes back to the consistency thing that I was talking about. Yeah, a lot of times dudes, we may be like, all right, you know what, I'm good. I'm not going to put all that energy into it. And that's honestly, sometimes it does fall back on the woman. If she's behaving a certain way that's like, man, I don't feel like dealing with that, yeah, we're going to fall back because go back again, peace. If every time I call and I got to hear all that and just because you are in a certain place that I may not be, dudes just like, yo, we don't want to hear that. We are going to bounce, or at least, at the very least, slow down the frequency with which we communicate with you.
So that's probably some of the problem, though. Some of the problem. With Alexis, she needs a lot of assurance and checking in and based on her previous experiences, which I get, I understand. But I don't necessarily want to be responsible for her past like that. Like, yo, relax.
Therapy. It is so important. I will keep screaming it from the mountaintops. It is a huge ask for the new guy who, and keep in mind, they are just dating. They're not in a relationship per se. They are literally dating. Yes, it's a reality show about, you know, relationships, but they are in the dating phase. So for her to ask this new guy to be responsible for her, you know, her past trauma, that's not fair to him. And she has got to deal with her own issues in order to make sure that she addresses the trauma of the past, so that way she can be present in the dating process with AJ so that they can move forward in the future. If she in fact does end up with AJ, she has to deal with a lot of issues because we know that Alexis has to be validated. She has to be, you know, told that you're my number one and all of that. And that's a lot to ask of these dudes who are really just getting to know her.
Oh my God, he couldn't answer the question. Every time I've been asked, it's always been Jason. But seeing this shift, and now I'm listening to what's not being said, and I'm hearing this shift as well. So if you made your decision with someone else, just tell me.
We saw London from season 2 be in the same predicament between him and it was Divine and Alexis, where he was torn between the two. So Jason's in that exact same situation. Kyra right now, she sees that, hey, Jason he's torn, and quiet as it's kept, he's actually moving closer to Liz than he is moving closer to Kyra, even though he has a strong connection between both women. From my opinion is that Kyra actually wants AJ more so than she does Jason, even though she does genuinely like both men. So I'm really curious to see how this particular love triangle turns out.
Hearing AJ express how he felt about me was the thing that helped soften my heart. And it made me feel like, okay, maybe we really do have a chance, and maybe I'm just being, you know, extra.
This goes back to what I was saying about Alexis earlier. Yes, the show, it abbreviates the whole dating process and confounds the timeline because things don't obviously move or progress the way they do in the show. However, men move at the pace we want to move at. And you may try to push us, you may try to do certain things, but if you make a man do something that he doesn't want to do, it's not going to work out in the long run, especially when it comes to dating. And right now, Alexis wants these men, you know, right now it was AJ's, previously was Ron. She wants a certain level of commitment from them that they are not ready to give for whatever those reasons may be.
Well, just so you know, I went on a date with Amber.
Oh.
I said, oh.
Hey. And what happened?
Not only did I go on a date with Amber, by the way, I kissed her.
Man, if this ain't a lot to unpack right here, but yo, let's dig into it. So before I even get started, we're going to preface it by saying this. We know it's a reality show. I'm fully aware that everything that we see is what the producers want us to see, and there's a lot of other stuff behind the background and a lot of editing that's been done. Cool. But taking everything at face value, we know that Amber and KG have a strong connection. However, she did not find out about Joelle choosing Kyra from KG. She said she got that information from Ron. We also know that Ron has an axe to grind when it comes to KG. Starting from the very minute that KG came back on the show, Ron was like, yo, why they bringing this dude back? And then you go back to when they were in the men's lounge a couple episodes ago, where Ron had an issue with KG commenting on Chrysanthemum, even though KG was asked directly what his opinion on Chrysanthemum. So we know that KG and Ron, or better yet, Ron has an issue with KG. That's one. Number two, all of the dudes in the men's lounge, they don't kiss and tell. If you go back to, it was Jason when he had the first kiss with Liz, Jason didn't come back and say, hey, Ron, I kissed Liz. No, the way that, in fact, let's watch the clip.
She called me the night y'all kissed.
I'm just glad that is out there.
So what we see right there is Jason didn't say, hey, David, this is what I did. No, Jason kept that personal kiss between him and Liz. He kept it to himself. Now, if Liz goes and says, hey, this is what I did, that's on Liz. You know, Jason doesn't necessarily owe David an explanation, nor does Jason need to go kiss and tell, hey man, I was kissed. No. That's grown folks moving as grown folks, and that's between them. Now, I'm saying all that to say, I'm not absolving, Amber of any type of guilt in the situation. She moving reckless. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. I think more is going to come out. All I'm saying is just trust the source, because throughout all of these messy situations, one name is consistent, and that's Ron trying to mess stuff up for whatever his reasons and motivations may be.
I'm a little annoyed because I'm like, girl, you couldn't call me and tell me you had a problem with me. You had to wait till we had the trip, honey. I mean, dang.
Right, kind of like she could have called Vernisha up and told Vernisha in private about the whole Joelle and Kyra situation, as opposed to doing it how she did. But now I fully understand that Vernisha and Amber may not have the best, relationship as far as friendship, because of the whole, we know Vernisha in the territorial aspect of Joelle, and Amber and Joelle sharing a kiss, even if it was on the cheek. I get it. So, it may be kind of difficult for Amber to pull Vernisha aside and tell her. But the bottom line, she didn't even try. So it's a little suspect that now all of a sudden Amber is taking umbrage with the fact that Alexis didn't call her and say, hey, girl, I got a problem with you. Now she wants to be all offended. Come on now. Come on, you got to move better than that.
Supposed to be my friend. You went out on a date with him and then kissed him.
But let me explain.
I think her explanation is going to reveal a lot, so I am really looking forward to next week. As I said, I'm not absolving Amber of moving recklessly. I just believe that there is more to everything that's going down, because the source of all of this, once again, is just a little suspect to me. So I'm going to reserve judgment until I get everything and see what's really popping from there. Now, once again, we got another cliffhanger episode where nobody was officially eliminated, even though, like we started out with, one of the ladies was scheduled to be gone by the end of this episode. So I cannot wait to see how next week turns out. Until then, y'all, please make sure you follow me on social media. If you're on Facebook and Instagram, it's going to be at author Christopher Markland, or you can hit me up on Twitter at author_Chris M. Once again, y'all, I appreciate y'all joining me for this review/analysis. Y'all have a great week, and once again, y'all stay determined.